everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. Today on Bones Collector we're continuing our series where Lori and I are playing our way through our board gaming library. So we're going to play a couple of games, 2 or 3 games each week, and make a video about it and pass it on to you, and I hope you enjoy them. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. Lori and I just got done playing a game called Firenze by Andreas Stedding. Now this game came out in 2010, so that's, what's that make it, 12 years old? That's a pretty old Euro game. The art is by Michael Menzel, and I always mention the artist if it's spectacular, and it is in this game. On the cards and on the board, it's that Renaissance type style that I adore. You know, it's my favorite style of art for a board game, and I really enjoy this one. This is a set collection, open drafting game for 2 to 4 players, no solo variant. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is this is back when Eurogaming, I mean, the box is decent, it's not great, but as far as the production goes, the rule book is very good, and the tiles themselves that are on the board here are very good. These building blocks we saw in a game called World Monument. These building blocks that you get a whole bag of, and you get a draw bag, and the tiles, again, these are different seal tiles and stuff, and the cardstock is very good, and we sleeved it because we really like this game.
And it's 12 years old.
Yeah, it's 12 years old, and it's pretty hard to find. We've managed to find someone selling it here in the Orlando area for, I think we paid $35 or something.
Might have been more than that, but it wasn't a lot. Yeah,
it wasn't very much, and I'm glad we got it. I had watched it played on YouTube. I knew I would like it, and I wasn't disappointed, and we've played it and played it. We've had this probably for a little over a year, and we just play it every chance we get. It is a brutal game, very difficult game to play. What you're trying to do to win the game is to put out your 9 seals first. That's how you trigger the end of the game. You're actually trying to score the most points. That's how you win the game. And you trigger the end of the game by putting out your seals first. Now, that's a timing mechanism, and you don't want to do it unless you think you're, of course, in the lead for the points. I mean, just don't, it's something you don't want to do. But you can force the end of this game. And I think Wayfarers of the South Tigris by Shem Phillips, a new game 2022, uses that mechanism. And I think there are other games that do that, where players are, the choice is in your hands. Do you try to manipulate building of these towers and scoring points, or do you try to get it done as quickly as possible, hoping that by doing that you're going to score more points than your opponent? Well, it's not a very good idea to get done quickly in this game, because unless things fall your way, it really doesn't work out for you. So here's what you have to do in this game. It's an open drafting game. You have 6 cards here in the market, and our points things are down here. We just finished playing, but I'll put them back up here. But you're going to make a selection of one of these cards, and that's a mandatory action. You have to do that, and the game comes with these nice player aids that really help out. And it says you have to choose a card that's mandatory. So you have to take one of these cards. Now, the decision making that goes into that is pretty easy the first turn, and it gets harder, exponentially harder after that. It gets more difficult and more difficult, because there's a lot to consider when you're doing that. You have to consider, once you take these cards and you get these bricks, well, first of all, there's a cost associated with them, and if you take the leftmost card here, it doesn't cost anything, and then it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you take one of these other cards with a cost on them, you simply are going to take that card, and you have to pay for it from bricks in your storehouse. You can't pay for it with bricks that you have on the card. So this card right here would cost 3 bricks. So you would have to pay 3 bricks from your storehouse and put them on these cards right here, which I always forget to do. I always go to put them in the bag. You don't. You put them on the cards to the left of the card you're selecting, and that's where those 3 bricks would go. If you chose this one that costs 5 bricks, those 5 bricks would go on these 5 cards to the left. And that's the way the game works. And then those cards simply slide to the left, and you bring one off the top of the deck and put 4 bricks on it and start the next player's turn. So you would take those bricks. If I did select, well, let's say I selected this one because I don't have any bricks. I got 1. But let's say I selected this one. So I would take this card, I would do whatever it says on the card. If it was, and there's different types of cards. There's some that are immediate actions. There's buildings that last the entirety of the game, and there are cards that you can save till later. And those cards, the different type of cards you have are event cards. You have personnel cards that you can put in your hand. You have celebration cards. You have building cards. Those are the ones I talked about that you can keep and gives you a benefit throughout the game, like reduced costs in your construction area and things like that. And you can use them the whole game. And then there are church cards. Church cards, when they come out in this market row, whenever a church card is selected, that church card, you take the player that selected that church card would take the bricks and put them in a storehouse, but the church card goes up on the board, and there's 4 spaces here for church cards. And the church cards have goals on them, and when you complete that goal, this major privilege card says the next player who fulfills a commission of exactly 7 levels receives an additional 4 prestige points. So that's pretty cool. So you have to pay attention to that. In addition, you have goal tiles that have to do with the height of the tower that you're building, and it starts out at a level 5, 6, 7, and 8, and you get 1, 2, 3, 4 points for those, first player to build those. Now when you begin this game, you have seals that are going to go on these towers, neutral seals, and they're gray. They're just like the player color seals, but these are gray. So those, you're going to have 5 of those, and there's variants for this game. It comes with 7 neutral seals. You can use them all, but when you're learning the game, it advises you to use 5 of them, and you can place them out randomly as long as you don't know the game, because there is a reason why that shouldn't be allowed if you do know this game, because there's a card in here called a recognition card, and if you have your seals on levels 2 and 3, I believe, or 4 and 5.
That's the bottom 2.
The bottom 2. On levels 2 and 3, you get an extra point for every one of those at the end of the game. So that recognition card is very powerful if you happen to get that card and you're building on the low part of the towers. Then also, there's these tiles called balconies, and you select those randomly, 4 of them, and they have Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, and 4 on them. They must be completed in order. And that is really tricky in itself, and there's reasons why that's so tricky. I mean, it's just, there's times I caught myself during a game thinking, oh, I can't complete that balcony tile number 2 because number 1 hasn't been done yet. Not to mention that there are different number of tiles for each color of tower on the board, and it says, it gives you the numerical number of tiles that are in the game on these towers. So white, there's 25, yellow 18, 15 for green, 12 for red, 10 for blue, and there's only 8 purple in the whole game for this purple tower. And when you have a balcony on this purple tower, that can really slow down the game a little bit, because you have to ask yourself, can I complete that purple tower balcony? Because out of 8 tiles, I mean, there's only 8 tiles in the game, and the chances of you getting those tiles is pretty slim. I mean, during the game, I think I did complete a 6 on this tower in another game that we played, but completing this, once you get into the game, this is the number 3 balcony tile, so you had to complete 1 and 2 before you can go after number 3, and by that time the game is, the game's a little deep now. In some of the seals, and you're looking at your opponent, and they've only got 2 or 3 seals left. You're not going to try and complete that because those purple tiles, building tiles, are just not going to come out fast enough. You can mitigate some of that with these cards. These celebration cards will give you, and the personnel cards give you the opportunity to pull colors of tiles out of the bag that you want. You might be able to exchange one out of your storehouse for one out of the bag. You might be able to take one of yours tiles out of the storehouse and trade it for one of your opponents out of their storehouse. And that's pretty good too. So you have ways to mitigate the opportunity to get the tiles that you want, because they may not be coming up. I mean, you may be sitting here saying, doggone it, man, I want to get build my tower 6 tall for blue, get those 6 points, and there's just no blue out there right now. Well, there's only 10 in the game. There's only 10 blue tiles. This bag is full of tiles. I mean, there's 25 white in here. So it's just a game of timing when you're playing Firenze, and that's the most important thing, is that timing mechanism. Now, when you're building over here on your construction site, it has costs right here for how much it costs to build your towers. So if you build 2 tiles on your turn, it's going to be free. If you go to 3, it's going to cost you 1 out of your storehouse. If you build 4, it's going to cost you 3 out of your storehouse. See how that works? So I would build 4 tiles. Maybe I want to start 2 towers. I'm going to have to pay 3 tiles back into the bag for a construction cost. If you pay build 5, it costs you 6. If you build 6, it costs you 10 tiles out of your storehouse. I don't think I've done that.
No, that's the limit unless you have the warehouse.
Yeah,
tile.
and I mean, wow. That is, yeah, because you do have a limit at the beginning of the game. You only are allowed 10 tiles in your storehouse and 5 cards in your hand, max. And there is a card that comes out, and I try to grab it when you can. I think there's 3 or 4 of them in the deck. It says your storehouse limit is raised to 15 bricks, and your card limit is rescinded totally, so you can have as many cards as you want. So there's things to flex the rules and to mitigate some of the strict nature of this game. And it's just a beautiful thing. And this game is so burning on the brain. This game is so brutal. And it's not your opponent being brutal. The game can be brutal on you. Because the way these tiles come out, you need certain tiles. Now, in my next turn, I'm going to have to build on these towers. I have to have a yellow and a red in my storehouse. Right now, I only have a yellow. So I've got to be able to I need to get my hands on a red, because you have to add to the towers you have in your construction zone every turn. So you're timing that. You're looking at the cards and saying, oh, wait a minute. You know, I mean, I've got 1 yellow, so I need a red. So whatever card I take this time has to have a red tile on it. Or I have to have a card that says I can trade 1 out of my storehouse for 1 in the pouch. You know, those types of things that you have to think about continually. And when those cards come out, or when those tiles start to come out, and you're looking at them trying to figure out, do I want to go for one of the balcony tiles? Is it in order? Do I want to build on one of these towers that would get me the building bonus of 5, 6, 7, or 8 first? Do I want to have more of my seals on one of these towers, because whoever has the most seals on these towers at the end of the game gets the bonus, the tower bonus on the flag on the top of the tower. It goes 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2. So you get those bonus points. In addition, the person that goes out gets this tile for 5 points at the end of the game. So it's a timing thing. You don't want to go out too early. You don't want to force the game too fast, because you can get burned that way. But it's a balancing act. And there's just so much to think about in this game. I mean, it's just so much fun. And this deck of cards is beautiful because you don't know how they're going to come out. And in this game we just got done, we just finished playing, Lori had built a lot of tiles on 2 and 3 down here in the lower parts of the tower, hoping to get that recognition card. There's only 2 of them in the deck. And the game ended. She ended the game.
My own fault.
Without getting the recognition card.
It was an experiment.
Yeah. And it was a close game. And I was curious. I said, well, and we finished with like between 5 and 6 points of each other. And I said, well, I'm curious where the recognition card was. And I turned it up, the next card, and it was the recognition card. If that had come out, she could have gotten that and gotten all those points. 1 point for every one of her seals that were on that lower part of the towers. So that was really crazy that was the very next card. So I think your best bet when you're playing like that is just to do a couple of them and wait for that recognition card to come out. Try to grab it,
yep.
And then you can go after it. And then it's
I
up
just
to your
wanted to
opponent.
see what would happen if I ended the game as quick as I could, and
Yeah.
it didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool to be able to do that. I mean, the timer is up to the players when to end the game. And I don't know, you're thinking about so much about how you're scoring points, and you have some cards that come out that can give you points at the end of the game, some end game bonuses. Of course, the end game bonuses on the towers, and then if you go out first, you get that 5 points, and all other players get another turn, even if you do that. But it's a timing mechanism with the tiles and the cost of the cards, because you're weighing that, taking the cards against what you have in your storehouse, what you need to build, and what cards you have. So, oh my gosh.
Now, you told them that you had to build both, like you have a yellow and a red. You told them you had to build yellow and red. Did you tell them what happens if you don't?
I did not.
Okay.
I have to build one of these. Any towers in your construction zone, you have to put at least one tile to them on your next turn. If you don't, you have to tear it down. I don't think I told it. I didn't think I said that. But that's what you have to do. It goes away and you lose it. And that can be painful because, again, you're looking, you may not have it in your storehouse, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need a certain color, and it's not out there. What am I going to do? You know, how am I going to make that happen? And am I going to make it happen with cards? Is there a card out there that can help me? Oh, wow. Yeah, there's this one card out here. Let's see what we got here. I'll see if I can... Okay, so this smuggler card, if you need a certain color brick, it says exchange one brick from your storehouse for one in another player's storehouse. Well, for my next turn, I have a yellow to play on that, and I don't have a red. So what I could do is say, all right, you know what? I'm going to give you this white, and I'm going to play the smuggler card. I'm going to give you this white for one of your red bricks, and now I can do what I need to do for my next turn, and that card goes in the discard pile. So now I can take my next turn with the assurance that I'm going to be able to finish it. And then, but I'm thinking ahead, because once I play these, my next turn, I'm hurting. I need a yellow and a red. So I'm looking on cards, just, you know, and of course we're going to load these things up from the bag after each turn. And I'm looking at these cards and I wonder which cards can give me a red. Well, look at there. I got 3 options, but I need a yellow and a red. Whoops. I need a yellow and a red for my next turn. So I don't have a yellow and a red here. I have a yellow and a red here. And that's it. So I would have to have 4 of these tiles in order to take this card. It costs 4 building tiles to take it, but I only have 3. So now I'm hurt.
Now you need the card that says don't pay for the card in the card row.
Yeah, I mean there is a card that says
cards that do everything.
Yeah, you can get a card from the card row for free. But right now I couldn't take that, even though it's what I need. Ah, that's terrible. Okay, but here's a card called the Bridge, and it says you may exchange bricks from the card row at 2 to 1. Oh, that's pretty powerful, because normally it's 3 to 1. So I could take this, because it satisfies with the one I need for red, and I'd have to pay 2 bricks, because it's in the 2 card slot, and they go on here, like that. I can choose where to put them, and then I would take this card, and I would take the bricks on it. Now I've got what I need for red, and I can exchange 2 for 1 for bricks on the card row only, not out of the bag. So I could take like any combination of these tiles and exchange 2 of them and get one that I want. And I need, let's see, I got red, so I need a yellow. So I could, and there's plenty of yellow out there, so I could make the exchange. But that's a pretty nice card. That's a building card, and that benefit is with you the rest of the game. Instead of 3 for 1 on the card row exchanging building tiles, 2 for 1, and that's a pretty nice card. But those are the types of things that you're going to think about the whole time you're not only doing this, but how are you going to build up here? Where are you going to build? You know, what's the best strategy for you? Getting what kind of bonus points can you get? Are you going to go after the balconies and get those bonus points? Are you going to have most seals on certain towers in order to get those bonus points at the end of the game? Are you going to want to build high on these towers, just the standard levels, and get these bonus tiles for building height during the game? So there's a lot to think about. I really enjoy this game, and I really enjoy that it has the player aids to help you. It goes through your turn. It tells you what the action cards with the various types of action cards are, and your construction site has all the costs for building on it. So that's very helpful in this game. And yeah, we love this game. Again, it's 12 years old, and that's old for a game nowadays because everybody wants the new. So this game, I mean, it can go on for 45 minutes, or it can go on for an hour, or you know.
You can make it last as long as you want.
80
if you
minutes.
just don't play your seals.
Yeah, but of course, the higher you build your towers, the longer it's going to take.
Yeah.
But you want to, you definitely have to have some of the lower values because you don't want to get caught with your opponent going out playing their last seal and you still got 5 seals to go out of 9. You're not going to do very well. So it's a balancing act. You want to score as many points as you can by building high on the towers, but then again you want to have more seals than someone else on some of these towers for the bonus points at the end of the game.
Well, and the towers score by majority.
Yeah, I said that. I said
okay.
It's whoever has the most seals on the tower is the one that gets the bonus points. If it's a tie, it's the one that's the highest tile.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about all of that stuff during this game. So it's a lot to think about in this little tiny playing Euro game by Andreas Stedding. I want to thank Andreas Stedding for giving us a wonderful game. There's magic in this game. It's incredible the things that can happen to you just when you think you're doing well, you're not doing well. And some of the times there's a card in here like this one. This is free, this card. It's called Disgrace. You lose 2 points at the game's end. This is a tight game. 2 points is huge. You would only take that. I mean, if you're desperate, number one, it's free, and maybe you have no other, maybe you have nothing in your storage area to pay for. You have no tiles. So you have to take that card because it's free, and then you're going to have to eat those 2 points. Yeah, there's a patrician card right here also on the card row, and it lets you block the effect of an event card that you draw from card row. So if I take this patrician card, you can save these cards in your hand and play them when you want, unless they have an immediate effect lightning bolt on them. You could play the patrician if it was in your hand and block that effect, or it lets you discard any card, any one card of your choice from your hand. So if you had the disgrace card minus 2 points, you could get rid of it. But the cards interact like that, and you can't always count on them being where you want them to be with the tiles that you want to take. So sometimes you're just going to have to take a card you don't want because you have to have the tiles to build. And that's the nature of this game, and that's what makes it so fun. Every time we play this game, we have a great time, and yeah, today was no different. We played it twice today already, and it's just a lot of fun. I hope you guys get a chance to play it. I don't know, I'm sure it's in board gaming libraries at conventions if you can get to it there. I don't think this game is readily available. It was hard. We were looking for it for quite a while and just happened to find it on a Facebook post or something that somebody was selling it here in Orlando, and we said, hey, I mean, let's get that game. And turns out we had sold her a game a while back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's funny how board gaming works, but we're glad to have it. And again, little tiny, regular size normal box isn't going to take up a lot of space on your library shelf, and I wanted to talk to you about today and tell you how much we enjoyed it. And I'm sure if you like Euro games, where you're doing this kind of thing, it's outstanding. Again, there's a little bit of interaction because sometimes a player can take a card that's going to hurt you because they can see it's open information. They can see what you're building, what you're up to. They can see where the balconies are. They can see that, oh my gosh, yeah, that the number 2 balcony is 5 high and it's 8 points, and that's 3 more points than it normally would. Oh no, that's 4 more points than it would normally be because it has the balcony on it. So I can see that he's already at 3. I have a card. He doesn't have anything to pay. I have a card that says if he doesn't have a color to pay to protect that tower, he has to tear it down. So you can hurt him like that. But it doesn't feel bad because
It's going to happen the other way around in a minute.
And that's just the game. The game is going to do that to you. I mean, and most of the time, a player that takes that card takes it because they need the bricks more so than damaging you, because they need the building blocks for their strategy and for their construction strategy. So I don't think there was ever a time in all the times I played this game where I took a card to hurt my opponent. I always took a card because of the bricks. So I'm taking it, and it's a firehouse where it's going to you're going to have to give up bricks out of your storehouse, things like that, and that's the nature of this game. But it's a wonderful game. I wanted to tell you about it and make sure that you guys know that you can play this game or pick it up with confidence. If you find somebody getting rid of it for a nice inexpensive price like we did, then hey, go get it, because you'll play it. And if you like games, oh gosh, any type of Euro game, you're just going to love this game. It's fantastic, by Andrea Stedding. It's called Firenze. Yeah, check it out sometime. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector, and today Lori and I just got done playing Saint Petersburg by Michael Tummelhofer, which is like a pen name or something?
Yeah.
And his real name, I should have looked it up.
It's Burned.
Yeah, Burned, yeah.
Burned. You did write it.
Oh, did I?
Burned.
Oh yeah, like that. I better read my own notes. Burned Brunhofer, or Brunhofer. I think Brunhofer. And this game came out in 2004. Burned also did Stone Age, so a lot of you have played Stone Age, so it's the same author. And it came out in 2004. It's for 2 to 4 players. It's an open drafting set collection game, and the person with the most points wins. And there is a second edition to this game, and it has an additional thing on the board, some kind of market thing on the board. And we had that one for a while. I didn't like it as well as this one. Even though we didn't have this at the time, I traded St. Petersburg, the second edition, away for a game that I wanted. And then we traded First Class, I think, for this edition of St. Petersburg, and it's in mint condition. I was just super impressed. This box is very nice. 2004, like I say, it's a very, what's that, 18 years old. That's pretty awesome. And it came with a nice insert and holds all the cards in the game, and they're even sleeves, so it holds sleeved cards, and that's pretty good for 2004. And you know, I like deluxified games, but this, when you're playing games that are good, yeah, you rarely think about the fact that it's not deluxified or whatever. I don't know if I doubt there's a deluxified edition of this game or something, but even if there was, this game is so fun to play that you just don't think about it. So, this is an engine building game. And it's one of my favorite engine builders. Of course, I just did a video on Splendor, and Splendor is a little engine builder with not very many complexities going on, not very many things happening. And in this game, there are some things happening. You can see what the table looks like when you get done. We just finished a game, and yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the production. This board is linen, and so are all the cards. And that's all there is in the game besides this money. And this is paper money, which generally I don't care for. But, I mean, it didn't bother me that much. Just, it's easy to bend if you are too rough with it. So, we treat our games pretty well. And we're just careful when we're playing with this paper money. It's kind of a, I don't know what you call it, like a plastic papery stuff. But that's the only thing I don't care for in the production. These pieces that determine which deck you're using are wood, and your scoring markers are wood. And that's the game. So in this game, you're going to have 4 decks of cards, and you can see where they go here on the board. And those cards will be sitting here waiting for each, and those are called phases. And then you have a discard pile right here. And you have on the board a graph, an aristocrat graph that you're going to use for endgame scoring. And other than that, that's it. To begin this game, you're going to, it comes with these little starter cards, and in a 2-player game, you draw 2 of them, and those 2 shapes is the shapes you're going to use to start the game. So if I were to draw this card, and what was the other one that I've got right now? This card, which I do have. Those are the cards that I started with. I would start with these 2 shapes. Each one of these has a certain deck on the board, and when you are using that particular deck, you're going to go first because you have that shape. So I don't have this first shape, this shaped like a chair, so when we got to that first phase in the game, my opponent would have that chair, and they would have first selection in the card row. Now when the game starts out, you simply are going to have, and I will put some of these down here, but you're going to have 8 cards. You'll always have 8 cards on this board, and that's the way the game works. And the 8 cards are going to be up and open for everybody to see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you would start out with 8 cards on the board, and then the person that has that shape for that deck is going to have first selection, and you're going to buy those cards from this row. Now, you start out with the game with $25, so money's kind of thin because each one of these cards is $4 and $5, sometimes $6 and $7 in the money phase of the game. So you want to try and buy as many as you possibly can, because at the end of that phase, even that first turn, that first phase, you're going to get the money that's on those cards, and it's generally $3 on each card. So you want to buy as many of those as you can. And also when you're buying these, if you double them up, in other words, these are all fur trappers. So the first fur trapper you buy will be $6. The second one you buy, you subtract that one, and it would be $5. And the third one you would buy would be $4, and so on. And there's more fur trappers there if you happen to get them, and so you only have to pay, you subtract the ones you have, and you only have to pay that difference. So that's pretty cool. And it works like that with some of the other cards also. So you're going to have those cards in your display area. At the end of that first phase, then you add up all your little $3 things, however many you have, multiply it times 3. That's the money you're going to get from that end of that, at the end of that phase, which is going to assist you in buying cards from these other 3 decks. So once that phase is over with, here's what happens. Let's say we buy 3 of these cards. No, let's say we buy 4 of them, because you will. You'll buy as many as you possibly can. Whatever's left over slides down here like this and stays on the board. Then the next deck, and you turn it perpendicular to the space when you're using that deck, and whoever has that shape, which would be me, I would go first this round. So I would take these cards, and you always have 8 cards on the board. So because we had 4 left over, we're only going to put down 4 cards out of this deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to grab a card. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are the cards that would be available, just 4 of them. Now, these are a different phase. So if you want to score points or have money during this particular phase, you have to have cards from that deck. So you want to try to get some, and without spending a lot of money, because you don't have a lot of money. So you're looking at those cards, deciding what you want to do with them. And some of these cards do different things. So here's a card in that phase called the pub, and it has a point for $2, and you can buy yourself a maximum of 5 points by spending $10 with the pub. So they do different things, and you are trying to figure out and weave your strategy for the game by the cards that you buy. And it gets very interesting. The decisions are very interesting because, again, the money's very tight, and you're going to find yourself throughout these phases going through your head and doing the math on how much money you want to have left over by the end of the round. Because once the round ends, you're going to go back to the money card phase, and if you don't have any money left, you can't buy any cards. Even though you'll get an income at the end of that phase, you want to still be able to buy cards during that money card phase. Very important. That's to play that game. Then in the money card phase also, I forgot to mention, there's iconography on the cards that comes into play with replacement cards that you're going to get from the exchange deck. And I'll talk about that in a second. So you would complete this round, and after the these are called buildings. You have the money cards, you have buildings, you have aristocrats, and the exchange cards. But once you complete this building phase of the buildings, then you would score those cards. In this instance here, in my play area, I have a 7, a 3, a 2, and a 4. So I'd have 10, 14, 15, 16, and another 4 on this card. For 20 points I would score that particular, if you had these cards in your play area at the end of that phase. So you'd score those 20 points on the board with your marker. Then once you're done with that deck, let's say some of these 3 of these cards were purchased, and you'd put those aside. 3 of these cards, they would go into somebody's play area. Again, this is a discard deck over here, so they would be face up. But then this card would slide down to the right, and you only have 3 spaces available. There's 8 in this row, and you have to have 8 cards on the board. So you turn this deck up, whoever has that shape, which would be my opponent in this case, would be the first player, and you put 3 cards here, and that first player would be able to make a purchase first from this market row, and then it would be the other player's turn. Now, just because these cards are pushed down here doesn't mean they're not available. They're still available if you've got money. If you've got money to buy these, you can still buy these cards in the different phases of the game. So even though we're in the aristocrat deck, you can still buy this leftover card from the buildings and these leftover cards from the money phase. So they're still available all the time. So then you would take a look at these cards, and you would take turn open drafting them and paying for them, whatever you could afford to do. And when you're trying to grab these aristocrats, you have to think in terms of having as many different aristocrats as you can have by the end of the game, because you get points for them by the graph on this board. So if you had 10 plus aristocrats, I don't think we've ever done that. Yeah. And we played this game a lot. You'd get 55 points, and it goes down from there, 9, 8, 7, however many you have. I happen to have 7 different aristocrats at the end of the game we just played, and that was 28 points. So that's the way that works. So you're thinking about that also. You're not only are you thinking about what the aristocrat will give you as far as a benefit. This particular controller says it gives you $4 and a point in every aristocrat phase. So when that phase ends, you would get that money and that point at the end of every aristocrat phase. So you're thinking about that. Gee, I want that, but I already have a controller. You already have one. Should I get another one? I mean, I have the money, and it would give me $4 and another point, but should I wait and save my money for another phase for the exchange cards, or should I just save my money to the money card phase again? Or should I go ahead and get this? Because it's nice to get income during the different phases. Even though most of these building cards give you points, some of them give you dollars, and it's nice to get income during each one of those phases. It's not always possible to do, but it's really nice when you can work it out that way. So that's what you're thinking about when you're trying to buy these aristocrat cards. And let's say somebody bought a couple of these in this phase, and maybe we got a couple of these gone too. So there's 4 cards that, put them over at the side, that got purchased. These would all slide down. We have 4 cards left over, and this deck gets turned back. This deck goes perpendicular, and these are the exchange cards. We have 4 open spaces. You take the top 4 cards and place them in here. Now in this phase, these are called exchange cards. So they're going to replace a card you already have in your play area. And they're signified by having a black box around the number that you have to pay. And like this one says 20. That would be $20 you would normally have to pay for that. But actually, what it's going to do is replace something you already have in your play area, so you only have to pay the difference. And that becomes part of your strategy also. When you're thinking about what cards do I want to take, what cards do I want to give up? Because you're going to have to give something up to put this into play. But it's more powerful. You get $2 and 4 points. Maybe I want to put this in play in my play area, and I have 3 of these authors, so I would go ahead and maybe supplant one of these authors with this Minister of Foreign Affairs. Now this is $4 and this is $20, so I'd have to pay $16. Or I could say, well, the heck, I don't want to pay that much. I have 2 warehouse managers. The warehouse manager gives me $3 and he costs $10. This costs $20. I'd only have to pay $10 to make the exchange. See how that works? And then I would get $2 and 4 points. So you're exchanging those cards, and that's part of the strategy of this game. And it's just so much fun to think about that stuff. And let's see what else we got in here, some of these cards. Oh yeah, we got some of these exchange money cards. So in the money phase, this would give you $3, and you would get not only money, but you would get points during the money phase. That's really handy. And this has an icon of a pelt on it, like an animal pelt, and you have to have one of those in your play area to exchange this card for it. There is a card called Caesar or something that has every icon on it, and if you see that come up, I usually try to grab it, but it's kind of expensive. It's $8. But I mean, at the beginning of the game, when you $8 is a lot of money.
And there's only one of those cards.
Yeah, is there really?
Yes.
Just one? Oh gosh, I didn't know that. There's only one of them, but yeah, that comes in handy because you may not have the icon you need when one of these exchange cards come up. So that you'd have to have a pelt card to exchange that in your money area. So that's pretty cool. This taxman that you can exchange for an aristocrat gives you $1 for every green card that you have in your display area. So things like that. I mean, and you're thinking about this stuff all the time. And this is an exchange, one of the building exchanges, and it gives you $4 and 3 points. Generally speaking, in the building phase, you only get points, but this one gives you $4 on top of the 3 points. So you would have to pay the difference between this $17 and something in your play area that's already there. So it's a type of thing where there's so many different things you can do to affect your engine. You're trying to build an engine of economy, of money, of points, and trying to balance that with the income that you're getting during the money phase, and it becomes a really, really fun thing to do. You're thinking about that economy all the time, and there's different cards in here that do different things, and it's really a lot of fun to kind of explore the depths of this game. And what you have to, another thing you have to think about is you can, when in this market, if you see something you want really badly but you don't have the money for it, you can actually take the card, like this Hermitage. It gives you $3 and 4 points. Maybe you don't have the $18 right now. You're $1 off or whatever. Maybe you're not even close. But you can take this card and put it in your hand face down and keep it until you can afford it. And you can have up to 3 of those in your hand. Now, taking those cards and saving them is a good idea because you may again see something that gives you a lot of points. What I have? Oh yeah, this Academy, 23 bucks, and it gives me 7 points during the building phase. As soon as that came up, I grabbed it. I couldn't afford it. I mean, this was in the beginning of the game, and money was very tight. There's no way I could pay. But I took it and put it in my hand. I have to remember that I have it in there, and check your hand, because if you have these left over at the end of the game, it's minus 5 points. You got to get them built and in your play area. But also, when you're doing that, I showed you how these cards slide down during the different phases. We'll look at it now. There's 7 cards still on the board from the prior phases. So in this particular instance, only 1 card would come out. 1 card. And maybe it's going to be the money phase. Let's say these were not money cards. They were a couple of building cards left over. So let's put a couple of more building cards out there. So we were going into the money phase, and there's only 1 money card going to come out. And if this is the beginning of the game, and you've only got like 3 money cards in your play area, that's $9. I mean, 1 card's coming out. The money is tight in this game. And so in this instance, you might say, you know what? I mean, it's my turn. It's early in the game. I'm going to not only take this Hermitage, because I can hold 3 cards. And I'm also going to take this Minister of Foreign Affairs, and I'm going to take the library and put them in my hand. Slide these down, and now 3 money cards will come out, and that's a little more like it. That will boost everybody's confidence a little bit. At least we'll be getting some more cards to purchase to get more income during that first phase. So that's one of the things you can do when you're managing your hand. And there's a card in there that'll give you the ability to hold 4 cards in your hand. I don't think I would ever do that, even if because you have to get these things built by the end of the game, or again, you lose points. So anyways, at the end of this last exchange, this is the exchange phase. When that's done, you turn the cards sideways like that, and then all the cards that were left over in this row come down to the second row, like that. Now when you do your money phase, you would slide these cards down, but you could still only put out 8 cards, so there would still be only 3 money cards that would be able to come out like that. That's not a money card. So it would look something like this. Now these money cards, of course, are going to be purchased and gobbled up if you've got the money. And then you can also buy these for $1 less of their face value, since they slid down to the second row. So there's that kind of stuff going on in this game. And then at the end of each phase, I forgot to mention, you're going to switch icons. I'm going to take those 2, my opponent's going to take those 2, and now I'll get to go first during the money phase and the aristocrat phase. So it changes like that, so no one gets the advantage. And I just really love this game. From the first time I played it, and I will admit this, we played it a couple of times, and it took a while to understand all the strategies that are available in this board game design. It's a very fun, very good game. Medium complexity, engine builder, just a lot of fun to play. Again, because you can play it so many different ways because of the abilities that these cards give you for getting income and scoring points. And that's just a whole lot of fun. It's, again, a very easy game, but just a lot of fun to play. It's one of our favorites, our engine builders to play. I just really enjoy it. The art on the cards, I like. A lot of people don't like the art on these cards. They like the second edition much better. I had a graphics upgrade in it where it was a little smoother looking art, and I didn't mind it, but I like this one better, and I like the smaller board better. In the second edition, the board was larger. I like the smaller board. Lori and I sit here, and if you play 2-player games, which some of you do out there like us, this is just wonderful to have right in front of you. You got your play areas right here, right next to the board, and boom, 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 you're playing this game. I just love it. It's St. Petersburg. It's a wonderful game, and I wanted to tell you about it today. If you have any questions about this game, I don't know about the availability of it is the only problem. Second edition even, I think both of these editions, the first and the second edition, are pretty difficult to get your hands on. I happened to found a guy that wanted a game that I had that I liked less than St. Petersburg, so we traded, and he liked the game I gave him better than St. Petersburg, so it was a great deal for both of us. And so if you can find one like that, it was on the Geek Market where I did the trade, and I don't know, I certainly can't buy it retail. it's not available, so it might be a little bit difficult to find. But for you people and players, board gamers that love a medium complexity game with an engine building mechanic and a set collection thing going on, hey, this you'll really, really, really like St. Petersburg. Have a great day. Okay, everybody, that was a couple of games out of our library that we wanted to share with you. Lori and I just do this because we want to share our passion. The only payday that I get is when you comment on the videos. It goes way beyond a monetary reward, and thank you for those comments, and please keep them coming. We'll try to get back to you as often as we possibly can. I love every one of you guys. And always remember to keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet. Bye-bye.